Okay, the time by my watch is 11:53 a.m. on Wednesday, the 3rd of November 2010. We're in an interview room at Bishopsgate Police Station within the City of London Police. I'm Detective Constable Sarah Mayo, stationed at Wood Street Police Station of the Major Investigation Team. Also in company today I have a colleague.
Detective Constable Julian Bell from the same department.
Okay. For the tape, please, could you state your full name, date of birth and current address for me, please?
Yeah, it's Ian Puddick. Date of birth is 30/10/69. Address is 22 Burford Gardens, and that's London, November 13, 4LP.
Lovely, thank you very much. Also, in interview with us, you're represented by Mr. Patel. Could I ask you to introduce yourself, please?
Yep. Sergeant Patel, Solicitor, Darren Ingram and Co. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you in the habit of making an opening declaration?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ian, before we start interviewing, I need to go through a few formalities with you.
Sure.
First and most importantly, I'll go through your rights and entitlements. Whilst you're in custody, you have certain rights and entitlements, which I know we've just gone through out at the custody desk. You have the right to be legally represented, which you have exercised, okay? Before we've come into interview, you had time to consult with Mr. Patel, that's right, isn't it? Are you happy that you've had enough time to do that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Whilst you're in custody, we'll also have to check on your welfare. Now, I know that you've come in of your own accord today and you've come in by appointment. Is there anything that we need to know about?
No, but thank you.
Okay. Is there anything happening externally of the interview that may affect your ability to talk to us today?
No.
Okay. This interview may go on for up to 45 minutes, potentially longer. If that does happen and anything happens, let me know and we can get it dealt with. Okay.
Okay.
Most importantly, I need to caution you next, and that caution is that you do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something you later rely on in court, and anything you do say may be given in evidence. Do you understand what that caution means?
Yes.
Okay, what's your understanding of that caution, Ian?
That whatever we discuss in terms of providing information, that it can be used for or against me.
Okay. I'll just break it down. I'm happy that you understand it fully. It's in 3 parts, but you do not have to say anything. It's as simple as that.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you some questions which you don't have to answer. Send me my colleague will ask you questions which you don't have to answer. Okay. But it may harm your defence if you do not mention and question something you later rely on in court. That bit means that if you elect to say nothing to us here, and this does go to court and you give an answer there, or you give an answer at court which differs from the answers that you give us here today, a court may ask itself why, and it may harm your defence. It may go against you. And the last bit is anything you do say may be given in evidence. We're being tape recorded here. You saw us put the tapes on. These tapes can be tendered in evidence, and they can be used at court if need to be. Okay, that's what the caution means.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to keep it quite simple. Basically, the purpose of an interview is we have allegations made to us and we are duty bound to investigate those, and the way we do that is by asking questions about your suspected or alleged involvement in that.
Okay.
I know this isn't the first time that you and I have been in an interview situation with each other, so you understand the format and the way this works. But most importantly, this interview is your opportunity to explain the questions I'm going to ask you. Okay, so this is your interview. I won't try not to talk over you. I know last time we veered a little bit off track, and if needs be I'll do that again today.
Okay.
Also, the answers that you give me, I'm not duty bound to accept the first answer you give me, and I may test the evidence by asking the same question a couple of times, maybe slightly worded different if needs be, but I'm not duty bound to accept the first thing that you say to me, and I will, if necessary, question you appropriately.
Okay.
Okay. Prior to starting, I'll just explain, I understand that you've taken legal advice, you're happy you've had enough time to do that. It is not Mr. Patel's role to answer on behalf of you or to advise you what or to answer on your behalf, okay? And if I feel that he is acting inappropriately, I will deal with that appropriately. Similarly, if he thinks the questions that I ask are inappropriate, he's entitled to question me, to intervene there, okay? That's the purpose of Ms. Patel in this interview.
Okay.
I'm going to keep it quite simple today. I know we've interviewed at length before. That's not what my intention is today. You were interviewed on the 14th of May in relation to harassment against Tim Haynes. Yep. And on that occasion, the course of conduct was the creation of websites. Now, we spoke at length about those and the content and your purposes for doing that. On that date, they were pulled down. And at the end of that interview, the reason for you taking those websites down, you stated, was because you felt you'd received closure on the matter. Okay. Since that time, they've been reinstated. And the purpose of this interview, and all I want to ask you is why.
No comment.
Okay. We went through previously. I'm not going to labour the point because that's evident in our last interview.
Did the cassettes of the previous interview turn up, by the way? The recordings?
Yeah, I've spoken to Mr. Patel about the previous job. We'll get that sorted out externally of here, okay? But yeah, we'll get that dealt for you. Okay, previously, just going to recap on the last interview. Okay, we went through, you admitted in the previous interview that you created ianpuddick.com, that's right, isn't it?
No comment.
We made inquiries at Domain Monster, and the person who opened or bought Ian Puddick, the domain ianpuddick.com, was Ian Puddick from plumbingsupermarket.com, 1072 High Road, Weston. That's your business, isn't it?
No comment.
Okay. Similarly, tim-haynes.co.uk, you opened that domain, didn't you? You created that website.
No comment.
Okay. What about ianpuddick.co.uk?
No comment.
And how about ianpuddick.com?
No comment.
Okay. All of those in the last interview we went through, and you admitted creating those and you admitted setting those up. The purpose for which you say was to expose the expense scandal in the same way that the MPs were exposed against Tim Haynes. That's right, isn't it?
No comment.
Who else has access or control over those websites?
No comment.
When was the last time that you had any involvement with those websites?
No comment.
Okay. When was the last time that you posted anything on those websites?
No comment.
Okay. What do you understand about social networking sites?
No comment.
Do you have any pages on any social networking sites?
No comment.
If I start first with Facebook, are you familiar with Facebook?
No comment.
Are you familiar with what the concept of Facebook is?
No comment.
Okay. Do you have a Facebook page?
No comment.
Okay. How many other Ian Puddicks do you know?
No comment.
ianpuddick.co.uk, if I can deal with that one first. When did you reinstate the website, the content of that website?
No comment.
Why have you reinstated the content of that website?
No comment.
Who else could have reinstated that?
No comment.
Who else has access to those servers, those hosts, however you upload it? I'm not completely au fait myself, but who else could possibly do that?
No comment.
Okay. What do you understand Twitter to be?
No comment.
Do you have a Twitter page?
No comment.
What about YouTube? Do you understand what YouTube is?
No comment.
Have you posted anything on YouTube?
No comment.
Okay. Without going into too much of the history of before, which isn't necessary, the reason that we're here is in relation to Timothy Haynes. Now, I've spoken to Timothy Haynes last week. As we all know, he had an affair with your wife, which is why this case is ongoing. How do you feel about him now?
No comment.
At the closure of the last interview, you said that you felt that you'd received closure and that you withdrew the content of those websites because you felt that you'd moved on. Is that right?
No comment.
How do you feel towards him now?
No comment.
Okay. Have you had any contact with him since?
No comment.
Have you had any contact with his wife since?
No comment.
Have they contacted you at all?
No comment.
Okay. Do you know where Mr. Haynes is working now?
No comment.
Have you visited him at work?
No comment.
A slight laugh there.
No.
Have you visited him at work?
No comment.
Okay. What is the purpose of these reinstating these websites?
No comment.
What do you hope to achieve by this?
No comment.
What is the ideal resolution for you? I mean, there must be a purpose to this. I mean, you're nodding your head, and there clearly is. I know we've spoken before. There must be some ideal resolution for you. What could that be?
No comment.
Your affair with Lena, is it Lena or Lena?
Lena.
Lena,
Don't worry.
not your affair.
Yeah, I won't.
Tim's affair with Lena. Do you know if they've had any further contact?
No comment.
Is this what this is about?
No comment.
Are they back in contact with each other? Do you know?
No comment.
Okay. How do you feel about your treatment by police?
No comment.
Okay. A lot of the, I mean, I spoke to Tim last week. A lot of the sites that we're talking about here have links to videos on YouTube, which is a website which I'm sure you're aware, as there are posts of you on there where you can broadcast yourself and pretty much broadcast anything for all to see. A lot of those sites contain videos of you speaking about your perceived disappointment or disgust or whatever you want to about the disproportionate deployment of City of London Police in dealing with your matter. That's fine. But within those sites, there is also direct mention to Tim Haynes, isn't there?
No comment.
Why have you mentioned his name?
No comment.
I understand that you may have a particular agenda with your perceived disproportionate deployment of the police in relation to your matter. Why, but have you mentioned him specifically again?
No comment.
Do you remember the last interview that we had?
No comment.
Within that, you explained that your purpose for posting these websites or uploading these creating these websites was to expose his misappropriation of company funds. I explained to you in that interview that by posting these, it was causing him a certain degree of upset, anguish within his private life. And you agreed and conceded that you weren't aware of that, that wasn't your intention, but you took them down. That's right, isn't it?
No comment.
So that being the case, accepted on that occasion, you might not have known it was causing harassment, alarm, distress, for want of to coin a phrase. After the last interview, you did know that. So why have you submitted these websites?
No comment.
When you posted these websites again, you knew that this would cause him a degree of anguish, didn't you?
No comment.
Why have you done that?
No comment.
Okay. Anything to add at the minute, Julian?
Can I call you Ian?
Please do.
Ian, Sarah's obviously dealt with you previously. This is fairly new to me, this investigation. Obviously it's your legal right to say no comment, that's no problem at all. Just to reiterate a couple of things, obviously any advice your solicitor gives you is advice, and ultimately should this matter go to court, you and you alone have to answer the consequences and explain why you did answer no comment and not furnish the police with the details you could have done. Do you understand that?
I do, yes.
Okay. As well as actually being important for the court, it's also important for us, because when you say no comment, you don't tell us anything, obviously by definition. If you do tell us something, it allows us to investigate something further. So if you give us a piece of information which is relevant, we can then act upon that piece of information, and if it's pertinent, it may assist you. You understand the purpose of the interview? It's not just for a court purpose, it's also for a police investigation purpose. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay. Is there any particular reason you're deciding to say no comment?
No comment.
Okay. Now, if I could backtrack very slightly, my understanding of this is that this dates back to 2009 in August, when you found out your wife was having an affair with Mr. Haynes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, there's been a whole series of events which have happened since then. You've been arrested on a number of occasions. You were charged on one occasion, that was dropped, and obviously you've been re-arrested and charged, and obviously the matter's due to go to court later this year. Now, it's my understanding on each occasion that you said you'd reach closure on this issue. Is that correct?
No comment.
Now, as somebody looking in, and these are questions ultimately, if this goes to court, the court's going to ask you. This isn't the police trying to be clever. These are quite sort of basic questions I think the court will ask you. If you're committing alleged harassment over a 15 or 16 month period, that's quite a lengthy period of time. And the sort of questions I'd imagine you'll get asked in court, why is it ongoing this long? I think everybody accepts that if you find your wife's having an affair, it's a pretty upsetting matter. And we all react in different ways, obviously. You've reacted in the way you've done. And people can make their judgments on that, but I think it's the fact that it's seen as so ongoing. It's the fact that you've been dealt with by the police, you've been warned about your behaviour, and you've volunteered to the fact that you won't actually do it again. You've taken stuff off your website, you stated that the matter's closed, and then it has happened again, and the court's going to ask, quite naturally, why is that? And that's what I would ask, and that's what I'm trying to understand today. Obviously we've got the complexities of the websites you set up and you've questions you've been asked on those. But mine's more on a sort of humane level. I'm trying to understand what makes you want to continue to do this. Is there any reason you...
No comment.
And ultimately, from what I understand, I've had a look at some of your websites. There's a chunk of footage which shows you outside the Houses of Parliament in the background, and you've actually said on there that you've made mistakes yourself, that when you reported Mr Haynes to fellow colleagues. Is that correct?
No comment.
So I mean, it's fair to say that even though you feel wronged, by your own admission you have made mistakes along the way as well, and that's what you said yourself. That's not me trying to put words in your mouth. What purpose does this still serve?
No comment.
Because ultimately you said you were trying to, the word I believe was expose Mr Haynes, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that's on two levels. Firstly, with regard to the misappropriation of funds. Is that correct?
No comment.
And secondly, you wanted to highlight the type of individual he was to fellow workers and people in his sector. Is that correct?
No comment.
What purpose does it still serve?
No comment.
Because if you've done this for such a lengthy period of time, surely that the targets you've looked at reaching, surely the people you've wanted to make aware would be aware of this by now. You've dealt with his company, I believe, on a number of occasions. You've obviously set up a number of sites. I'm just trying to understand at what stage, for you, is it going to reach a point where you've actually attained your goal?
No comment.
Okay. And it's something that Sarah touched on at the start, but, and forgive me, I'm not trying to be condescending in any way here, but I'll just ask the question. Often when people continually sort of in essence won't let something go, and I don't know the reasons, there may be valid reasons which I don't know about, and I hope you would tell us, but are there any reasons in your personal life or your professional life? Obviously you spoke outside briefly about your plumbing company, which sounds a successful one, and you've got this new invention you referred to, but is there any reasons outside in your external life which contribute to this ongoing? Because you sound to me like you have a very successful life, and I don't understand as a bystander looking in why you'd want to continue with this.
No comment.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you feel like you've attained closure on this?
No comment.
I mean, you're shaking your head there. Is this why this is still ongoing? Is this not dealt with for you yet?
No comment.
Okay. I'm not going to go on for too much longer. My main point is that at the conclusion of the last interview, you were aware that by naming him publicly, this caused him a certain degree of anguish. Now, although you didn't accept that was your intention the last time, it was very clear to you that was the effect that you were having. Okay, there's a difference there. You didn't acknowledge or concede that was your intention, but you knew that was the effect. And as such, the content of those was removed. Those have now since been uploaded, reinstated, whatever the correct terminology is. It's a basic question, in it. Why?
No comment.
There can be no other intention other than to cause him anguish from where I'm standing, unless you can tell me otherwise.
No comment.
There may be a reason for. That's what I'm asking you, and this is your opportunity.
No comment.
It may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned. Okay, it may go against you later. What is the reason for doing that? What is the reason for uploading these again, if there is a legitimate one? What is it?
No comment.
Okay. Again, I'll just cover it. Who else could have possibly have uploaded these if it wasn't you?
No comment.
I understand, freedom of speech. You have every right to speak at Speakers Corner, which is what some of your YouTube videos are of you speaking. In fact, I think Julian walked past you one day whilst you were speaking without knowing who you were.
Poor man.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
You have freedom of speech. Everybody accepts that. However, another human right is the right to a private life, and you're encroaching that by what you're doing. Can you see that?
No comment.
Do you agree with that?
No comment.
Do you disagree with what I'm saying?
No comment.
From my point, any human being would have a certain degree of empathy with your situation, and I think that's been. I thought, thankfully, it's never happened to me, and I hope it never does. I can't imagine how I would react, but the obvious reaction is to feel hurt, anger. People want retribution when they've been wronged. It's natural, and there is an acknowledgement and an understanding of that. However, where it crosses the line is when you are told you must stop doing this because this is the effect you're having on somebody else. you continue. What's the reason for that?
No comment.
Okay. There isn't really much more I want to ask you about that. It was as simple as that. These have been reinstated. I want to know why, and you're electing to answer no comment. I'm not going to go on for another 45 minutes. I don't see the purpose unless you've got anything else you want to ask.
A couple of very quick things.
Yeah, go
on. Your wife, what's her name? It's
Lena.
Lena. What's her view on this? Does she have any input at all?
She, no comment.
I mean, is she aware of what's happening?
No comment.
Okay. I mean, I've obviously got a lot to say myself. We've covered it, but just from my perspective, I don't know you, but you come across as a very personable, intelligent man running a very successful business, from what I understand. And we're, in sort of layman's terms, we're evidence gatherers. We're not here to sit in judgment. We're just here to find out facts and present it to somebody who makes a decision whether it goes to court or not. But, you know, my fear, genuine fear for you, is that, you know, this goes to court, and if these sort of matters continue to happen, ultimately, you're going to risk the possibility of imprisonment in the end. And that would be a tragic thing to happen for something like this. Is that something you're in fear of yourself?
No comment.
Okay, but I've got nothing else to ask.
No, as we said, it's as simple as that. Thank you very much. Is there anything you'd like to say before we turn the tapes off?
No.
Okay, is there anything you'd like to
Thank you.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to serve the notices about what happens with tapes. The time is now 12:15. I'm going to terminate this interview.